S43, war number 10, and we're up against PBT, and this time my team will be Future Ant-Man, Shuri and Silk. I will be taking Path 5 in Section 1, along with that Dr. Doom and Kingpin there on the shared fights. Then for Section 2 I am taking Path 5 there as well, and this time I'm ignoring that Mo and Kate Bishop, they will be used for Hercules ramp up. For the boss island I will be taking that Attuma and Mangog there on the left side, and that does it for my war. Not that many fights this time around, but that's perfectly fine. I don't need to take the full 13 every single time. Nor would I be able to, because I simply can't fit every counter in my team. Anyways, up first here we have a Hulkling on the event flow knockdown and right back at it nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Silk. And this fight is not ideal by any means. The main reason why I'm using Silk here is because I needed her on the team for that 54 Mangog anyways, and this fight can be taken with most champions. It's just gonna be a bit of a longer fight, that's all. Now, one thing that Silk has going for her here is the healing reversal with the slow debuff. It's not a lot of damage, but it does help a little bit. On top of that, she also has quite the big specials and easy access to knockdowns, so that I can get the event flow protection down fairly often. Now I do need to make sure I don't drop my specials into the indestructible, just so I don't make this slow fight even slower than it needs to be. Now the specials still deal a nice chunk of damage, but most of it is still reduced by the event flow protection, and then following the knockdown afterwards the opponent will be debuff immune, so I can't really shut down the regen. So a bunch of the damage taken from the special attacks, Hulkling is gonna be able to heal up before I can get that slow debuff back on, which is unfortunate, but his health pool is not big enough to actually cause a risk of a timeout here, at least not with Silk. Maybe if you were using a, well, worse counter than Silk is, but even then, Hulkling himself is not a difficult opponent to fight unless there is something else to add to his defensive kit, other than just making the fight slower. I'm just baiting his specials over and over, and that's about it. So long as I don't push into a special 3, everything should be fine. Just one more special 2, followed up by a couple basic attacks, and the fight goes down. It did take over 2 minutes, so this is a pretty slow fight. Wouldn't really recommend using Silk here unless you didn't have an option like me this war. I much rather use Silk there than my other 2 tech champions here, so it is what it is. Then we have a Havok on the event flow knockdown and heavy hitter nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Future Ant-Man. Now, as usual, a game plan is to just get to my special 2, get the power detonation on the opponent, remove the event flow knockdown protection, and then nuke the opponent down with that special 2. If I get lucky, a single special 2 is enough. Usually though, it does require a couple more basic attacks to follow up with. Now, in this fight, I'm not sure why I threw that special 2 straight from the knockdown. The first hit of my special 2 actually whiffed because of it, but turns out the burst damage still triggers even during the opponent's stand-up animation, even if the hit doesn't land. So that was nice, and learned something new. But yeah, that was me just being too trigger happy with the special. Honestly, I did get pretty lucky that I didn't get punished for it. But anyways, next up we have a Kingpin on the Hazard Shift, Incinerate and Shock node, and I am taking this fight with Future Ant-Man with the Odin's shock resistance as well as the aptitude pre-fight. The aptitude is nice to have because it increases the potency of Future Ant-Man's armor ups, but it's not necessary. The main reason we put it on here was because it wasn't needed anywhere else, so might as well. Now, as usual, against most opponents on these nodes, or rather on any node, the game plan with Future Ant-Man is to get to that special 2, throw it with the power detonation up for the burst damage, and just repeat that until the fight is done. Now, Kingpin here is slightly easier to deal with than a Zima would be in my opinion, due to just how easy his specials are to bait in comparison. Now with Virtual Ant-Man you don't really need to bait the opponent's specials at all, if you don't want to, that is. But with the way I like taking this node, it works out pretty well. He goes down in a minute and Virtual Ant-Man is still standing at full health. When comparing that Kingpin to a Zemo or a Attuma on the same node, I would say I would much rather fight a Kingpin there instead of the other two. And then next up here we have a Kitty Pryde on the Event Flow Intercept node, and this one is super simple. Since I'm constantly removing all of the prowess on Kitty Pryde, she will never be able to phase, meaning her defensive kit is non-existent. I just gotta get that special 2 with protection down, throw it, and the fight is over in just around 20 seconds or so. A very quick fight for Virtual Ant-Man, and basically any tactic attacker can take that fight without any issues. Without prowess, she doesn't do anything. Then next up we have an Absorbing Man here on the Event Flow Intercept and Mighty Charge nodes, and I am taking this fight with Silk. Now, I was a little bit nervous about taking this guy after what happened to the Absorbing Man or Safeguard node, but I have taken this exact fight earlier this season, so I knew that it wouldn't be nearly as bad. Game plan is to just try to nuke the fight down with my special 2s, try to keep him out of any of his forms so that the regeneration or his resistances are not an issue. Then just make sure I land those intercepts to remove the protection before I drop my special 2s, so that the damage will not be reduced by the protection. And here all I gotta do is just bait another special 1, punish it with my heavy attack to remove the protection, then try to go for an intercept here, land it, chain a heavy into a special 2, and the fight is over. The reason why I went for that risky intercept was because I had Silk's auto evade still active, so if he had thrown that special 1 while I was trying to intercept him, I would have just evaded it and I would have been fine. So no risks taken there. Then next up we have an Attuma on the Conflictor miniboss node, and I am taking the fight with Shuri. I have the White Magneto pre-fight here to help me land those parries whenever I need to, without Attuma shrugging them off and gaining those concussion debuffs. That is probably not necessary to take this fight, but it does make it a whole lot easier, since Shuri needs to block or parry to gain her charges. As for the actual game plan here, I didn't really have one. I was just planning on playing it by ear, seeing how the fight goes and adjusting accordingly. I do need to make sure I have the armor up buff on me at all times if I'm trying to hit him with the guaranteed crits, so that I can instantly remove any prowesses that he might gain. Otherwise the power gain is gonna be a big problem. So as long as I have the armor up on, I can do whatever combos I want, just nuke him down as quickly as I can. Then once the armor buff drops, I just gotta get another one by either using my heavy attack or special 1 to knock down the opponent. At this point the fight is almost over, so I go ahead, use my heavy attack to convert my shock debuffs into passives, to just melt him down with those instead of throwing some basic attacks. I didn't really have a reason to do it that way, but might as well. He was gonna be dead regardless in a couple seconds, so I just figured I'd get the untouchable so that he wouldn't be able to clip me at the very end. Either way, had I gotten clipped it wouldn't matter, because that was my final fight with Shuri. No potions were wasted, and I don't think he would have been able to finish me off in that time either. Now, next up we have the final fight of this war, yet another Mangog on the Aspect of Evolution miniboss node, and I am once again taking the fight with Silk, as I have been for the past however many wars. Game plan is the same as always: pop the invulnerability boost, then just push Mangog to his special 3. If I get to my own first, great. If I don't, just eat the special 3, and that's basically all there is to it. The special 3 does nothing so long as Mangog is not enraged when he throws it. If he is, he will stun you, so that is something you do need to watch out for. So as long as you don't do full 5-hit combos or bait any of these other specials, that is never gonna be a problem. And as we can see here, this Mangog was a 7-star rank 1 Mangog, so just a single special 3 rotation is enough to finish him off. Didn't even need to eat the special 3 due to the Mr. Fantastic pre-fights allowing me to get my own special 3 first. As for the results, we did end up winning the war 9-5. It wasn't a horrible war for us, but 5 deaths is still a little bit too many to be comfortable going for top 3 finish, but a win is a win, we'll take those.